Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, Jewish students voiced their concerns following the protests taking place on U.S. college campuses. A concerning document found at a North Texas middle school leads to the arrests of 2 students. And parts of Texas had tornadoes and severe weather Thursday.
Of course, we have the continuing ongoing problem of additional big thunderstorms out in West Texas. This is likely to drift in our direction, so we'll be tracking to see whether or not it gets to the crossroads sometime later tonight. All that and a look at your weekend forecast coming up in a moment.
Plus, the May 4th election is 1 day away. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia has the day off. Parents at a North Texas middle school want more answers about a document school leaders are calling violent and concerning. A letter sent to parents says the document was a planned attack on students and staff with a watch list targeting 32 people at Wilson Middle School in Hazlet. That's about 15 miles north of Fort Worth. Students say it has circulated around the school since the beginning of the year. Some parents say the school needs to do more to reassure them that their children are safe.
As we're getting more news that there may be more kids that are still involved with it that are at the school, the investigation is still ongoing. I decided it was best to go ahead and take him out for the day. I don't feel comfortable that the investigation is complete enough for him to continue to stay at school at this point.
A parent first found the shared file online. Parents say they hope other parents will step up and intervene with their children. So far, 2 students are arrested, but more may be involved. A 59-year-old suspect was arrested by DPS in DeWitt County Wednesday. Christopher Johnson of San Antonio faces charges of online solicitation of a minor, sexual performance by a child under the age of 14 years, and sexual assault of a child. Johnson is in the DeWitt County Jail in lieu of $300,000 bond. A tornado tore through Hawley Thursday. Multiple buildings and vehicles were damaged in the rural area, and several homes were lost. School buildings appear to be undamaged, but the grounds did flood. That's near Abilene. Police reported several injuries, but no deaths had been reported. Residents around Houston are bracing for more flooding today. In Conroe, north of Houston, rising floodwaters have covered roadways. And in Harris County, authorities have warned residents to be ready to evacuate or stay in place for up to 3 days. Mandatory evacuation orders have been issued along the east fork of the San Jacinto River. The American Red Cross of the Texas Gulf Coast has opened shelters to help those displaced by the rising waters. More than 7 inches of rain had fallen in parts of Harris County by yesterday morning, and more rain is possible. So they say, what about our guy? Let's take a first look at your first warn storm team forecast. Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis joins us now with a look at what's going on outside. Now, we had some moisture today, Mac, but nothing like they're having in the Houston area.
Not at all, Don. I mean, we've been actually very lucky considering it's not that far away from our area. So we missed the big storm by maybe 100 miles because it came down to I-10. They got rain last night on top of the previous rain, so they've got all this water to roll through the metropolitan area before it hits the ground. For us, out in West Texas, believe it or not, big nasty storms may come to pay us a visit. That's what we'll be talking about coming up a few minutes later on. Back to you, Don.
Mac, thank you. The protests taking place at colleges across the U.S. have left many Jewish students feeling uneasy. Here's what some Jewish students are saying on the UT Austin campus.
I'd say the last 2 weeks here on campus have definitely been completely different than everything else we've experienced.
The University of Texas at Austin student Barry Seitz is a co-founder of the group Longhorns for Israel, and these last few weeks on campus have been increasingly uneasy.
It doesn't even feel like these protests have become anti-Israel or anti-investment in the state of Israel. It feels like these protests are aiming to eradicate all Jewish, Israeli, and Zionist presences on campus. And it's really hard to see.
Today's event, organized by the Palestine Solidarity Committee, was small and quiet, but still a reminder of the political chasm between them and the Longhorns for Israel. They're not the only members of the community who feel this way.
Students are feeling a lot of anxiety. They're feeling targeted. They're feeling uncomfortable, as the leading organization that fights hate and anti-Semitism in this country. Our concern is for their well-being.
Jackie Nierenberg is the regional director of the Austin chapter of the Anti-Defamation League, an organization that tracks and studies anti-Semitism and hate.
They're not in favor of the way that these protests are being rolled out because of how marginalized it makes them feel, being targeted for being Jewish, as if a Jewish individual has any agency over what's happening in the war, whether you approve or disapprove of the war.
Logan Spector agrees.
So just so people know, when we hear the word intifada, what conjures to the Jews is pizza, like pizza parlors and buses going up in flames.
Spector is not currently enrolled at UT, but is looking at classes this summer after a trip to Israel.
It's definitely difficult to see some of the things that they've been saying and that they've been in such groups and confrontational with police and confrontational with the administration.
The ADL says there have not been any violent incidents directed at Jewish students at UT. Democrat Congressman Henry Cuellar of Laredo and his wife were indicted on conspiracy and bribery charges. They are in connection with a federal probe into their ties with Azerbaijan. The U.S. Department of Justice said the couple surrendered to authorities on Friday and were taken into custody. It said they made an initial appearance before a federal judge in Houston. Cuellar released a statement Friday denying any wrongdoing. The federal indictment shows the couple accepted nearly $600,000 in bribes. The May 4th election is a day away. Residents will vote on the Board of Trustee race for District 2 in the Victoria ISD. On the ballot is incumbent Bridget Marshall. In July 2023, she was appointed District 2 trustee. Marshall is the Victoria College Department Chair of Humanities and English instructor. She says she plans to use her 20 years of education for this role. Marshall faces Andy Rokovich. He's a project manager. Rokovich once served as president of the Victoria Young Republicans. In March, he was under fire for a social media post that some deemed anti-Semitic. Rokovich apologized and says the post was poorly thought out. Rokovich wants to ensure inclusivity and representation for all in the community. Voters will vote for 1, 2, or 3 of the candidates for Board of Directors in the Victoria County Drainage District number 3. On the ballot, Justin Leda, Ryan Pletcher, Candy Marklebeck, and Wayne Leda. In the race for District 3 City Council in Victoria, we have April Butler running against Woodrow Wilson Wagner II. Butler is a local business owner. One of the issues she wants to address is retaining first responders. Butler says she has a plan to increase pay for first responders without raising taxes. Butler faces Woodrow Wilson Wagner II in that District 3 race. He says he has a track record of advocacy and a desire to give back to his hometown. Wilson Wagner's primary focus, if elected, is to give first responders better pay to prevent them from leaving Victoria. Wagner says his experience in government will help him find solutions for the city. Voters will vote for 1 or 2 candidates for Board of Directors in the Victoria County Water Control and Improvement District number 1. On the ballot, Robert Cardenas, Devin Wallace, and Robert Montalvo. The May 4th elections are tomorrow. In Victoria County, you can go to one of 19 polling locations. They will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 1,754 people in Victoria County cast early ballots. That 4.7% of registered voters in Victoria County. Here's your viewer poll this afternoon. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. What race are you watching in the May 4th election? Victoria ISD District 2, Victoria City Council District 3, or other area races? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote, and I will have an update on 25 News Now at 6. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. Hostage talks between Israel and Hamas continue. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5, the latest developments in the negotiations. Also ahead, the Texas dairy farmer who reported a case of bird flu gives researchers insight on tracking the infection.
Here's a look at Community Crossroads this weekend. We first sit down with the Locke County Sheriff candidates, followed by Crime Stoppers and the Golden Crescent Casa, and we wrap up with the Texas Zoo.
But most zoos do it in phases. Having said that, we're convinced that by the time we're finished in a number of years, we'll have the most advanced small zoo in the country.
CIA Director Bill Burns is in Cairo as negotiations for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war continue. One source says Burns is representing the U.S. in multi-party talks between Israel, Hamas, Egypt, and Qatar. A new proposal from Egypt calls for Hamas to release as many as 33 hostages kidnapped from Israel in exchange for a pause in hostilities. As of Thursday, the White House had not yet received a response from Hamas on the proposal. The U.S. military has paused construction of a humanitarian pier and causeway off the coast of Gaza due to bad weather. Construction started last week. The military hoped it would be completed by today, but they say weather conditions have been extremely challenging. U.S. Central Command says the pier will be assembled at another site and moved into place once completed. From there, each day up to 150 trucks carrying supplies could enter Gaza to help its starving population. A Texas dairy farmer who caught bird flu appears to be the first known instance of mammal-to-human transmission of the virus. The worker reported no contact with sick or dead birds, but he did have repeated close contact with dairy cows in Texas, where there were infected herds. The man was treated with antiviral medication and never became seriously ill. His case now confirms humans can get the virus after contact with cows. But it also shows how hard it will be to track an outbreak, where a positive test could mean a farmer loses days of work and pay. The CDC says every 3 minutes and 14 seconds, someone in the U.S. dies of a stroke. But knowing the signs and getting help quickly can mean the difference between life and death.
When stroke strikes, every second is critical.
We talk about losing up to 2 million brain cells a minute. That's quite a bit. When we catch somebody in time, when we're able to reverse the signs and the symptoms of stroke, at best we can even see our patients quickly go back to normal.
Dr. Jenny Tai with Cleveland Clinic says stroke can happen to anyone, but these factors can increase risk: diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and smoking.
We use the acronym BFAST to remember the most important signs and symptoms symptoms of stroke and what to do when that happens.
B stands for balance. Watch for sudden loss of it. E, eyes. Look out for sudden loss of vision or double vision. F, face drooping. It's a potential sign of muscle weakness or paralysis. A, arms. If you're concerned someone is having a stroke, ask them to raise their arms. During a stroke, one arm will often stay higher while the other sags. S, speech. Slurred speech or losing the ability to speak may be a sign. Finally, T stands for time. Don't wait to call 911.
We're able to treat a lot of strokes nowadays with either medications, clot busting medications, or even surgery to try and remove those clots. But unless you're in front of the doctors who do that, the specialized teams who do that, it's very hard for us to reverse those strokes.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
In southern Brazil, at least 29 people are dead and 60 missing after days of torrential rains caused major flooding and landslides. Authorities report more than 10,000 people are displaced as a result. Many areas do not have power, clean water, and other necessities. Forecasters say some areas got a month's worth of rain in 24 hours. They're also monitoring dams not equipped to handle this much water. Back in Texas, heavy rainfall led to flooding in some parts of the state Thursday. Trinity County residents were under evacuation orders due to the heavy rain and flooding in the area. Roadways are underwater and some have been severely damaged or destroyed by floodwater. Some residents are also without power. Authorities declared a local state of disaster following severe damage caused by tornadoes and storms.
Well, we're looking, of course, at the weekend in front of us. We had quite a bit of cloud cover today, no sun at all. A mist or two or light rain last night, but today, this afternoon, we're looking at stuff out to the west. Our current temperature is 78 degrees. We did manage to get up to 81 this afternoon. That's because of the cloud cover. The stuff that might affect us in terms of rain is actually in West Texas, but it's drifting in this direction. We'll have more on that coming up in a moment. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Not a lot of sun again today and rather warm in the mid 80s. That's not bad considering that next week we're looking for the 90s. But the big question is, are we or are we not going to get any rain? Now, last night we did get a few sprinkles out there as all the moisture is really just sinking down to the bottom of the atmosphere. This afternoon, we actually had more rain in Houston to add insult to injury. But the big concern really is out here. This is another day of storms firing along the dry line. Remember, out here in Texas, this is humid, and on that side it's very dry. Well, that is the line where all these storms fire, and then they get caught up in the upper winds, which takes them in this direction. That's what happened to Houston, and it may happen to us. We've got two more chances, which is tonight and tomorrow night. And then by that, after that, we should settle down a bit. Let's take a look at what's going on right about now. Believe it or not, I mean, we didn't have much here. The crossroads was fine, and Houston got pounded again. But, you know, we look out west, and here, there's some mean, hungry-looking storms out here, and you can see how they're firing up near the Abilene area and also the ones here. So it's not something that would happen within the next hour or two, but about 4 or 5 hours, we're going to have to take an assessment as to where all that stuff is to see if it's continuing to move in our direction. We've got severe thunderstorm watches here, tornado watches there. We've got all kinds of flooding problems in the Houston area. Let me tell you what's the problem with Houston. They got the rain, right? And the rain is going down to the Gulf. I mean, it has to go to sea level, right? The rain that fell upstream is now coming down. And so it's sort of doubling the problem because all of the dams are full, all the rivers are out of their banks, so they may have additional flood problems, even wider flooding, within this weekend before the crest falls and continues to move south. All of this is, the main area would be by the Intercontinental Airport over to East Texas. Now, you know, you're down south toward Katy or even Sugar Land, they don't have that kind of problem. But north of this downtown of Houston, it's a mess. And I wouldn't advise you driving out there because the roadways, some are going to drain, some are not, depending on what kind of tributary that is. So it's a concern. Here's a little stuff that fell last night. It was a little bit heavier down toward our area, but still, you know, less than 1/10 of an inch. And of course, there's what happened last night, which only added insult to injury. So all of the area up there, the new outer loop, I think they call it 99, that one's like having all kinds of problems. So they're going to continue with a flooding problem through the weekend until maybe Monday, Tuesday, when things start settling down, because we're going into a dry period. All right, here's what we expect for tonight. Showers out west, moving east. No major problems right about here, but we keep moving eastward, and you can see how it gets into the I-35 corridor, and then the remnants sort of drift over that and fall apart. Okay, that's tonight. Then we go into your Saturday. Of course, that's very important. You know, you can complain all you want, but hey, at least you're not in Abilene where they're really going to get pounded. And that's hopefully the last line that may affect us in some stream over the next couple days. After that, we're looking for warmer weather. Partly cloudy tomorrow in the mid-80s in Port Lavaca, partly cloudy tomorrow, and we're looking for upper 80s in Cuero, and get a load of your weekend temperatures still in the 80s, but next week we start pushing into the 90s. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we have a QR code. Love for you to scan that with your phone and put Crossroads Today on your telephone. We'll toss it back to Don.
Thank you. And coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at your stocks. Plus, gas prices in Victoria are on the rise again. Taking a look at the stocks, the Dow up 450 points, the S&P 500 up 64 points, and the Nasdaq up 315 points. Oil down 84 cents, closing at $78.11 per barrel. Prices at the pump are rising again in the crossroads. AAA Texas reports the average gas price in Victoria is $3.25 a gallon. That's up 5 cents a gallon in one day, 8 cents more in 1 week. A rise of 20 cents a gallon in a month's time and 25 cents higher per gallon than last year at this time. Rue 21 announced it is going out of business and shutting down all 540 of its stores. The Pittsburgh-based business filed for bankruptcy this week. That's the third time it has done so. Rue 21 is roughly $200 million in debt and was not able to rebound from when it declared bankruptcy in 2017. In a court filing, the CEO said the company was severely impacted by the pandemic and other market trends. Rue 21 has nearly 5,000 employees nationwide. Stay with us. We'll take one last look at your forecast. Plus, a bipartisan group of lawmakers have formed a Congressional Dog Lovers Caucus. And now here's a look at what's coming on World News Tonight, right after 25 News Now at 5.
Tonight, it's the end of spring semester, filled with finals, graduations, and now arrests. The growing protests and chaos on the nation's campuses. More Americans turn to World News Tonight with David Muir, the most watched newscast on television.
Ashley Home Store will host a Hope to Dream mattress set giveaway event in Victoria this weekend. You can read this article on our website, crossroadstoday.com. A bipartisan group of lawmakers has launched the Congressional Dog Lovers Caucus. Congressman Jared Moskowitz announced the new caucus, tweeting, quote, "This group dedicated to man's best friend aims to foster bipartisan cooperation and will help put pause over politics." The congressman will continue this effort unless he is upset in November by an underdog. Well, you never know.
You never know.
You never know.
You think they'll come together on this topic?
Well,
pause. Little puppies.
Let's pause to think about that.
I would hope so.
and we pause to hope that the people north of Houston and the area around Abilene are going to be okay.
Yeah.
And now you've put up a chance for rain tomorrow, which you had not before.
That's correct. We have to add it for Saturday. And again, it's not one of our local problems. It's a problem that starts over there and drifts into this area. If it falls apart in West Texas, we're fine, but you cannot preclude any of this activity. And so I wouldn't worry too much about tomorrow and Saturday. This is activity that'll be around the state. We just worry that it'll drift in our direction because the winds are basically into our area. We'll stay in the mid 80s on the warm side, and then hello to the 90s next week.
Could be a problem for people wanting to do yard work tomorrow.
Oh no, I think
No?
you'll be fine. Don't use that as an excuse. You know?
Oh, well, okay. Darn. All right, thank you, Mac.
Sorry.
And thanks for watching. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with David Muir is up next.